Hi, I'm James.
And I'm Joy.
And we're back for
March Books. And not only that, but I get to talk about my favorite book in all of 2020 today, so I'm pretty excited.
And I also get to talk about my favorite book in 2020, so let's dive right in.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of contemporary fiction books this month, my favorite. And first up, we have Look by Zan Romanoff. This is a contemporary debut with a queer protagonist, and it's about what it means to be an influencer in today. So the protagonist is Lulu Shapiro, a prep school student in LA who gains 10,000 followers on a fictional social media platform called Flash from a video with her with another girl that was never supposed to go public. Flash basically works like Snapchat because your videos expire a day after you post them. And it's a little bit like TikTok too without the expiration.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, as Lulu tries to figure out her identity as a queer woman, as well as her feelings for another girl named Cass, she'll have to decide if she's willing to accept the true cost of being an influencer. This book is intimate, very relevant, and compelling. And if you're trying to build your subscriber count on TikTok, you need to read Look. It's out on March 31st.
Gotta read it.
Yep.
If you are a fan of Astrid Scholte's Four Dead Queens, make sure to get your hands on her newest book, The Vanishing Deep. And I hope you're ready for a dystopian thriller because that's what you're in for. This book follows Tempest, who is born into a world of water. The planet's been destroyed and is mostly underwater. People are inhabiting floating man-made islands, but the ruins of the cities are still down below. Tempest makes her living by diving and scavenging the ruins down below for anything she can sell, and she needs money because she needs to bring her sister back to life for 24 hours so she can tell Tempest what the heck happened to their parents who also died. Yes, you can bring people back to life in this, and it's very expensive.
The stakes are very high in this one.
They're very high, just starting out. Very high. Basically, her sister has a secret, and Tempest needs to know what it is and why. And the clock is ticking. So my 3 words for The Vanishing Deep are intense, mysterious, and oceanic.
It's a good one.
And it's on shelves March 3rd.
Next up, for those looking for more YA nonfiction, this one is for you. It's a memoir written by Mary Jennings Hagar, who is a veteran of the Air National Guard. In July 2009, she was shot down during a mission in Afghanistan. Although she was wounded, her actions saved the lives of her crew and their patients, and she became a recipient of the Purple Heart. This is the story of how she began her campaign to overturn the US military's combat exclusion policy, which barred women from serving in combat positions until it was repealed in 2013. This book is accessible, informative, and honest, and it also has exclusive photos to provide further insight into her story. It's on shelves on March 3rd.
Next up, we're talking about the stunning new paperback look for Laurie House Anderson's Shout.
Just look at this cover.
It's a really nice cover. Laurie is pretty well known for being a powerhouse in the unflinching way she writes about and advocates for survivors of sexual assault. This book is piercing and fierce, and it's Laurie at her best. Shout is her critically acclaimed poetry memoir that is, as they say, timely as it is timeless. She shares reflections, rants, and calls to action alongside her own deeply personal stories, and it's all in free verse. My 3 words for this one are probably ones you've already heard to describe this book, but that's because they're timeless for this book, and they are powerful, captivating, and essential. And the new paperback is out March 10th.
Next up, we have another contemporary, and it's The Small Crimes of Tiffany Templeton.
Lots of contemporaries this month.
Yep. Here on the cover, we have 15-year-old Tiffany Templeton. She loves leather jackets, as you can see, and she also just spent the past 3 months in juvenile detention after being convicted of shoplifting. Now she's back in her hometown in Montana, and the only thing that's changed is her. She has an unexpected backstory, and she keeps her secrets hidden in a typewriter case behind the laundromat. But in order to change her reputation as her town's bad girl, she'll have to reveal those secrets about herself and the people around her. This book is edgy, darkly comedic, and unpredictable, and it's out on March 10th.
All right, let's talk about more paperbacks because, namely, the finale of Brendan Reich's Project Nemesis series, Chrysalis. So the 64 members of Fire Lake's sophomore class have gone through a lot. They survived 2 phases of the program, but now they've emerged into a dawn of a new era on Earth, and it's full of danger.
As you would expect.
As you would expect.
Yeah.
Now, you would think entering a dangerous new and broken world would bring Noah, Tak, and the rest of the crew together, but Between old feuds, drama, and the brutality of the program, it inevitably causes everyone to start breaking apart. Ultimately, they'll have to make a choice to work together or, die together. So my 3 words for this one are fast-paced, teamwork, and resolution, because finale. And it hits shelves March 3rd.
I'm really on a contemporary kick today.
You
Not
are.
to complain, because I love contemporaries.
It's his favorite genre.
Yep. And I am also excited about this coming out story with a lesbian protagonist. This is We Were Promised Spotlights. The story is set in small-town Massachusetts in 1999, and it follows Taylor Garland, who's recently been crowned homecoming queen just like her mom. All the boys want Taylor, but she doesn't want them because she's been in love with her best friend Susan since middle school. The trouble is, Taylor's also dating the homecoming king Brad, whom Susan has a crush on, so it's a pretty complicated romance. Between Taylor's journey to come out and her struggles to get out of her small town, this is a thoughtful, tender, and truthful book about accepting yourself. It's on shelves March 24th.
Are you ready to talk about our favorite books of all of 2020?
I am more than ready. Also, 2020 has only been out for
We are 3 months in.
3 months in, but still, it still counts because these books
3 months in.
These books are both amazing.
And our favorites are March books, so let's get started.
Yeah.
The Kingdom of Back by Marie Lu. The best of Marie Lu. As in, come at me legend fans, this is the best one.
That's a very hot take.
It comes out March 3rd, and that means it'll probably be already on shelves when you're watching this, so stop watching this and go get it, because you need to get it.
And then come back and keep on watching.
And then come back, because James has books to talk about too. But The Kingdom of Back is the story of young Nannerl Mozart and her brother Wolfgang, and the magical kingdom that they stumble into called Back. There is where Nannerl is offered a deal by a handsome fairy princeling, one that could grant her her greatest wish, which is to be remembered forever. But it could cost her everything. Okay, so first of all, confession time. I read half of this book almost a year ago, and I didn't want it to end so badly because I knew I couldn't deal with the ending. So I only finished it recently, and I let it sit there for 6 months.
It takes a lot of self-control.
A lot of self-control.
I would never be able to do that personally.
Full on pretended the halfway point of this book was the end. You guys, I sobbed at the end of this book. I'm not exaggerating when I say I sat there and hugged it for half an hour because I really didn't know what to do with my emotions at that point. So yes, this is not a spoiler.
Not a spoiler.
But it depends on how you view the ending. You could say it's happy. You could say it's bittersweet. You could say it's incredibly tragic and will leave your feelings permanently damaged. But I don't know. You read it and you tell me. So as James knows, I could probably go on all day about why I love this book, but for the sake of time, I will cut myself short and just tell you a couple of the reasons. So 1, this is one of the most immersive books I've ever read. When you're in 1759 Austria, you feel like you're in 1759 Austria. When you're in the magical kingdom of Back with a handsome fairy princeling named Hyacinth, you have just stepped into the magical kingdom of Back with... You get it. Okay, moving on. The writing is just really lush and delicate and enveloping, and in a strange, wintry way, it feels like watching the Nutcracker. It's magic. All right, next is Nannerl Mozart. This is in part the untold story of a prodigy who never got credit for her work or was even allowed to write her music down because she was a woman. So to make things worse, her little brother Wolfgang was also a prodigy, and of course he was praised for his work, as we all know Mozart today. So Nannerl's wish to be remembered forever is such a sweet part of the plot, but ultimately gutting because you really come to understand her desperation. She has everything it takes to become one of the greatest composers ever, and the world has completely barred her from doing so. Her character development is incredible, and her story is so real. I went back and forth a lot about what my last reason would be. I could talk about the wintry atmosphere, could talk about the gorgeous writing, the plot twist, the friendship between Nannerl and Wolfgang, but ultimately I went with the music. I've never read a book that describes music in such a delicate and ethereal manner. As someone who both loves music and plays a few musical instruments myself, I super recommend this if you're a music person too. I swear when I was reading it, I weirdly heard music in my head. This book is just that magical. My words for this one are incandescent, melodious, otherworldly, and bittersweet, because none of those words do it justice, and I had to do at least 4.
Also, let's just take a moment to appreciate this cover, because this is literally the Kingdom of Back, and it's just...
It looks like the cover.
It really
Inside
is.
the book, it looks like the cover. Oh, also, there's a map. not just on this side, because this is the real world, but there's a magical map on the other side. Look at that. March 3rd. Mark your calendars.
We're finally at my favorite pick of 2020 so far, and fans of short story anthologies take note because this one is for you. It's A Phoenix First Must Burn, which is edited by Patrice Caldwell. This is my favorite read of 2020 so far, along with the sequel to Darius the Great Is Not Okay, because I've also gotten to read that early, but I'm not saying anything about that.
More to come on that later.
More to come later. So this book has 16 sci-fi fantasy short stories from Black authors and authors of color, all of whom are following in the footsteps of Octavia Butler. Octavia Butler is one of the greatest sci-fi authors of all time, and I actually wrote my college senior thesis on her. The title of this book actually comes from one of her books, The Parable of the Talents. A Phoenix First Must Burn has a wide range of contributors, from Elizabeth Acevedo, and this is actually the first fantasy story that she's ever published.
Ooh.
And we also have Evie Zaboy, Justina Ireland, L.L. McKinney, Ashley Woodfolk, Danny Lore, and many, many more. You will remember the heroines of these stories. All of them feature Black, female, and gender nonconforming protagonists, and the book centers these characters in stories of hope, resistance, beauty, and love. And speaking of love, I do have to give a shout out to editor Patrice Caldwell's short story, which is entitled Letting the Right One In. It's about a teen girl whose parents are about to be divorced, but at the same time, she must also figure out her feelings for another girl who may or may not be a vampire. You'll just have to read it. Yeah, it's a wonderful short story, and all of them are just so amazing and memorable. These are the kinds of stories that I would have loved as a teen, and that's why I'm so hopeful that so many teen readers and adult readers will see themselves in this visionary collection. This book is hopeful, visionary, and one of a kind, and it's on shelves March 10th. Thanks for joining us for our March book haul.
Remember to like, share, subscribe, and tell us in the comments down below what book you're most excited for in March. Bye.
Bye.